And the need for Nigeria to export more commodities away from oil has continued to bug the minds of economic watchers as the country seeks for better economic development. With the recent signing of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, many have called for more attention to the non-oil export sector. Well, I have here with me in the studio the immediate past chairman of the export group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry to look at the non-oil exports sector there, Mr. Bamidele Ayumebo. That's tongue twisting. Please pardon me. Right. Anyway, you're welcome to the show. All right. Now, could you do a general assessment of the Nigerian oil, non-oil export sector, looking at it against the background of the imperative of economic diversification?
The non-oil export sector in Nigeria has been, in my opinion, stagnated. We've not really grown as much as we should because it's still under 10%. Last year was about 6.2%. What I noticed also is surge. When you look at the trends, around Q1 of every year, you see a surge of more than 10%. But for the remaining part of the year, it goes down. And what is driving that has been some manufactured goods that Nigeria is exporting mainly to African countries. So in the light of diversification, I think we should also de-emphasize diversification into other commodities, but rather diversification into manufactured goods, which we're already doing anyway to the West African and African countries. So it's not like we're just starting. If you check the indices, data rather, of all the export done from Nigeria, we do more of commodities to Europe and America, Europe and Asia, and do a lot of manufactured goods to Africa. So in my opinion, I think we are getting ready and prepared for AFCFTA. There are a lot of debate around that, probably we'll be talking about later on, but it's good, it's very important for us to diversify, but we should also be careful in our diversification so that we don't still diversify into agri that we've done for so many years. We've done agri for so many years. Let me put it in perspective. If I export a ton of cashew nut, I will get less than $1,000. If I export a ton of cashew kernel, I will get over $10,000, even though I will have had some losses in terms of the shell, about 20% recovery. But when you check it at the end of the day, we'll have created a lot of jobs locally and I will still be more profitable. So we should not just talk about diversification into other commodities, but rather diversification into value-added and manufactured goods.
Now, you talked about, of course, the signing of the AFCFTA. Now, what do we really have to export? You're talking about the agricultural commodities. Now, do we really have enough to export? You heard our guest there on the commodity talking about the steel. What is our potential in some of these areas?
We have a lot to export in that AFCFTA. We actually had to I did an analysis just to check what are the products that African currently import that Nigeria currently produce. And I found out about 90 products. Just desktop research of what we currently produce, some of which are already exporting out of Nigeria. So some of them are commodities, few commodities like crude and the like, and maize and the like. But the number of products produced in Nigeria today that we can export. What has happened over the years is we've not been able to, we are not thinking, many people producing those products are not thinking of export. And I think that's been the challenge. So now that we have signed AFCFTA, it should now be a deliberate effort to begin to educate those manufacturers through the organized private sector and, of course, through media outlets like you to be able to encourage them to begin to consider the advantage we have in AFCFTA. But we already have enough product, in my opinion, that we can export based on what African currently import that Nigeria produce.
Can you share with us some of those products that Nigeria, you were able to research?
You know Nigeria already exports cement, right? And we produce cement in Nigeria. Now, recently also we had issue with this meat issue. Can you remember when we were having issue with the Ruga? And it was about to be now. And I discovered that bovine, which is cow meat, is a major item being imported into Africa, from antibiotics to pharmaceuticals to cement to plastic products to a lot of manufactured goods that Nigeria currently produces that can be exported. By the way, Nigeria already exports this item. What I'm trying to say is that we should now expand the basket beyond the few things we currently export into that region. More than 40% of export in West Africa is done by Nigeria, and majority of those items are manufactured goods. So we're already doing export of manufactured goods. We just need to, it's like you're doing something by default. You now must begin to do it deliberately and compulsorily. And that would mean media houses, government, getting people educated about it to be able to begin to see the need to drive it.
Okay, now we have the issue of the border closure.
Yes.
So how is that affecting the export sector?
It's affecting the export sector seriously. I did an analysis also just last week looking at what has Nigeria, this last year Nigeria exported good worth about 62 billion according to MBS. Now, 62 billion and the export within Africa, which is mainly done by road, is about 12%. If you do 12% of that, that's about 3.7 to about 3-point-something billion dollars. A quarter of that, because the border has been closed for almost 3 months now, is $9-something million. So, and there's an article that I think we are losing about $1 billion already because of the inability of a lot of exporters to ship. But what exporters are beginning to do is people are beginning to see the need to. You can't sit down and just lie low. You have to pay salary. You have to pay your bill. You have to free obligation to the bank. So people are now shipping by sea. Remember sometimes when we talk about border closure, it's just the land border that's closed. Like I said, it's just about 12% of the trade. So we say
exporters that are exporting to West Africa can actually go through the seaports.
People are shipping by sea. Okay. What has happened in the past is that it's a lot easier to do, especially those that are doing informal export, to ship by road. Especially the informal export. But people are now shipping by sea. And interestingly, apart from some few countries that doesn't have traffic, that the rates are high, but a lot of people are still able to ship profitably to West Africa by sea. So that's what a lot of people have responded, because they didn't know it was going to be this long. But some people have even lost some of the contract they have, having a lot of issues. But now people are beginning to consider shipping by sea. So they're making an inquiry from the shipping line. Okay, how much will you take us to Ghana, to Togo, to Benin? So a lot of people are beginning to explore that option. Okay.
Now, still taking you back to the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that was signed. Just yesterday, we saw in the news about AfriExim. Of course, earlier on in the year, they had announced about $1 billion to support the AFCTA.
Yes.
And they just released about $500 million dollars, for Nigerian exporters and manufacturers. Yes. How do you think, these people will take advantage of this opportunity offered?
Now, I think. I don't know what the objectives are. I know it's to support AFCFTA, but the detail I'm not privy to. But my suggestion would be free trade agreements all over the world that have failed or have not been able to accomplish objective are mainly be due to the fact that communication of the message of that agreement and the benefit of that agreement to the business people that should use it has been very poor. And this is not just in Africa. If you check in Africa, from SADC to COMESA to ETLS in ECOWAS to even other Asian countries, I think it's the Europeans that have been able to really maximize the benefit of AFCFTA. And in the Asian, it's China that has been able to maximize the benefit of this kind of agreement. So I am of the opinion that we must do aggressive, the kind of publicity we had during the campaign that you know who is contesting. That's the kind of publicity we need to do. If we don't publicize, I go to different events, and each time I'm talking to people, I say, I'm going to find aware of AFCFTA, 10%, 15%. These are people that are supposed to use it. They're not even aware it exists. We've had ETLS for almost 30 years. That's the one in the free trade agreement in West Africa. And many businesses who have potential to ship within that sector, that segment, that territory, are not even aware it exists. So, number one. Number two, the process of getting the certificate of origin, because the idea is we need to be able to trade freely among ourselves. If we're going to do that, then we must restrict third countries from having access. The process of getting it must become very seamless. So those kind of funds should be such that we can deploy a technology that will make me to apply in my office. Because currently, it takes about 3 to 6 months for me to get certificate of origin to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I should be able to get it seamlessly. I don't need to see anybody. I should be able to apply, fill the form online. The people will come to check my file to be sure the product is actually produced in Nigeria before they give the certificate. Those are the things we should begin to see. So I'm setting investment in that sector so that as you publicize it and people are aware of it, and then they need to get a certificate to get their product eligible for this program, they don't hit the roadblock of the bureaucracy of government. We should discourage them. They already do their business anyway, and the government is trying to ensure that they create more jobs by getting us to trade within Africa. So if the bureaucracy come in and the people are not able to access it, then of course they won't be interested. So, and then capacity building. Capacity building for the OPS, manufacturers, exporters, capacity building, to be able to know exactly how to go about it. And in doing that also, the people must be able to attend, what do you call it now, trade exhibitions. There was one in Egypt last year. Afrexim also powered that, so that we can begin to showcase our product in different parts of the country. And I think, considering the fact that we have challenge with competitiveness, we are about 15 in Africa, maybe a way of subsidizing the manufacturers. Whatever support government can give to be able to ensure that when they begin to ship this product, they are also very competitive. So I think those are the things they should be looking at with those kind of funds.
Now, the border closure, does it have any implications for this AFCFTA? Yeah.
In my opinion, it doesn't. And here is why I think it doesn't. The trading of this program, of this AFCFTA, will start around July, August next year. So I'm expecting that government doing this now is timely, is better, so that we can correct every issue we have with our neighbor before trading starts. So I think, even though I might have some concern with the way government went about it, I think it was imperative. The reason behind it were very much necessary, and it's good it's happening now, so that by the time we start trading, we probably will have resolved the issue with Benin and the Niger Republic. So I don't think it will affect it. Okay. As long as it doesn't extend to that time. And I think government will not make that happen.
All right, talking about encouraging export, I know that the Central Bank had opened an online portal for exports. How is that performing? How much value is the portal adding to that?
You know, if you look at government plans, there are good intentions. Sometimes implementation is always a challenge. Now, I'm of the proponent of this portal, that we've had automation of import processing since 2013, but we've not done for export. Now, immediately I've been able to find the will to get it done. However, many exporters were not even aware that this was coming. They had a cutoff date of end of October. So many people had issues being able to log in. Even bankers, because I belong to a forum where bankers talk about this thing, and they had issues. I was in a meeting last week where a CBN official was there and was able to take up the issue, and he said it will become a take-home for him to go and meet. I have to go and meet our people. And I said, look, it's good. You are taking take-home, but we could have prevented it. So I will expect that CBN should say, okay, can we get 2 or 3 banks to do a pilot? While we are still processing our paper, we do pilot so that all the teething problem can be taken care of. So we do both paper and automation. And then maybe within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we can then move everybody to the automation of the platform. But for me, it's a good idea. It's a brilliant one. If they're able to implement it the way we suggested, maybe we'll have been able to curb illegal, informal, and non-documented export out of Nigeria. Because the idea is for every export from Nigeria to be processed on it's called the TRMS platform, trade processing platform, a trade monitoring system platform. And if everybody is processing there, then we'll have been able to curb export of items that are not supposed to be exported in the first place, export or by people who are supposed to be in Nigeria for tourists, but they are doing business and they're able to export, talking about foreigners. So, and those are the things CBN is trying to do. And I think, for me, it's a good platform that will be able to help us achieve that. So data-wise, I think we'll be better off and for planning, and then more importantly, curbing illegal export. So
what export incentives are currently in place, and how effective are they?
The government came up with this. The one that is working is called the Export Expansion Grant, which was revised not too long ago. But they need to always source for funds from the government through the budget allocation to be able to pay this money. They had an issue. The people that already got this grant were supposed to do a reverse auction, which was not the initial plan, with the government to be able to have access to this. So I think government should really let us know exactly what they want to do with incentive. Every country that is really doing well in export have found a way to help their country, their countrymen, the manufacturers, to be able to do it effectively, considering the fact that, in trade, you are dealing with other countries that probably have a lot of facilities to themselves. Everything is going well for them. You're going to be competing with them. So, and we are having a lot of challenge with power, with this and that. So those incentives are things that are supposed to help individuals, companies. Some companies I heard in the past, when this the grant is about 30% of the FOB value, which is up to a profit. They even can export at cost, waiting for this as the way of getting profit. Meaning they're helping the country to generate foreign exchange. So that's the only one I know that is working.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Yumi, just before I let you go, you were talking about the export expansion grant. Now, there was a report recently that the export expansion grant was abused by some exporters.
Yes.
What's your view on that? And how can such abuses be checked?
I think government should be doing more of pre-export incentive than post-export incentive. What has happened is that for me to be able to generate that incentive, I need to make some document available. Just the way we had issue with the subsidy scam, that's exactly what was happening. People were forging documents and going to government to be able to get this incentive. So I feel if government is going to give incentive, it should be pre-export incentive. For example, I'm recommending that for those that are shipping now by sea and they have to incur more cost, they have their invoices with the shipping line that they ship the goods, but they ship at the higher price that they would have done. Government can subsidize that. That's the kind of incentive we should be seeing, than post-export incentive that people can easily forge documents to enjoy.
All right, thank you for your time for coming on the program. Mr. Bamidele Ayemibo is the immediate past president of the Export Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Well, let's take a peep into the fixed income market. Ramat Baba, Chief Dealer Fixed Income at FBN Quest Merchant Bank, joins us now from the FMDQ Marketplace. Hello, good morning, Ramat.
Good morning.
Yeah, Ramat, we saw bearish sentiment in both segments of the fixed income market yesterday. What factors led to that?
That's concerning the uptick in yields on treasury bills. Is that what you mean? Mm-hmm. Hello?
Yes.
Okay. So really there's been a lot of liquidity squeeze in the system, at least from last week Friday, thereabout. System liquidity is currently as low as about 50 billion. That low in recent times, because we've been having liquidity as high as 500 billion and above. So of course, everybody's selling off to free up some liquidity, and also coupled with the fact that there's going to be the CBN SMI retail on Friday, we should take out an additional about 400 billion. So people seem to be selling off to create liquidity for that. So pretty much that's what's been driving the treasury bills market. Everything has been majorly in response to liquidity.
Okay. Now, it's a new trading day. How is the market shaping up today?
Today it's been pretty much quiet, especially on the bond side. We've seen yields firming up at the levels they are. Buying has been subdued, really, because as the last week, we saw a lot of buying pressure coming into the market. But this week and even up till now, we've seen it slowing down. There's still buyers in the market, but probably because there's a bond auction tomorrow, there's nothing aggressive concerning buying. I guess people would rather just go for the bond auction tomorrow. So really, that's what's been happening.
And what about the currency market? What's happening there at the moment?
I'll say it's been stable. NAFEX closed at about 362.442. That's just about 2 kobo shift from prior day. It's been pretty much stable. Liquidity is, should I say, average. It's not tight. Market is pretty liquid, though not very liquid. So it's business as usual in that space.
All right, thank you for your time, Ramat. Ramat Baba is the Chief Dealer Fixed Income at FBN Quest. Let's go on another quick break, and when we come back, we do an opening call to London as well as the Nigerian Stock Exchange. To stay with us.